Welcome back to JD's Garage. I finally made it to the swing arm on this bike. We've done so much fabricating on the frame, extending it, repairing it, putting more supports in it, and now onto the swing arm. So what I'm going to do here, this is the hardware that holds this to the bike frame. The current setup here is the bike frame is on both of these inside parts. The bolt goes through, locks down over here and holds it on. So what I've got to do, I want to widen this swing arm. So I've got to cut this off and this off, put my extension piece in here where I'm going to cut the swing arm, and then we're going to weld these two pieces I cut off back on exactly where they need to be, so this swing arm will bolt back on to the bike. So let me go ahead and get set up. I'm going to make these cuts with the reciprocating saw. It'd be hard to get in here with the angle grinder, so I'm just going to make some nice straight clean cuts with the blade and get these things cut off. I'll get my piece cut in here for the width I want, and we'll tack it in, we'll get it welded back in, then we'll put these pieces back on the bike, bolt it on, get our marks on here, get them welded back on, and we'll have a widened swing arm like we want for a fat tire on the back. Here we go. Cut, cut, cut. And this clamp actually must have been a little tighter. Got this cut here. So let's work on getting this guy widened where we want it. I've got a square piece to go in there in the middle. Okay, and then we'll get everything back together. But check this out right quick. These are the ends I cut off. There were a couple holes on each side of this swing arm that I filled and grinded down, but they were big enough for wasp and dirt daubers to get in. Inside here is an old dirt dauber's nest, and this is remnants of an old wasp nest that are decaying. But that's pretty cool. Alrighty, got this 5-inch square tubing tacked in here on this swing arm. We now have 10 5/8 back here where the axle is going to go. It's on the money, it's ready. This swing arm will now hold a fat tire. I'm going to get this welded in. I'm going to put more support and angle iron on the back after I get this welded in. And then I've got to get these welded back where they go to go on the bike. And so I have a lot of welding and grinding again today. I apologize if that's too boring, but it's part of the project that I'm recording, and I got to do it and work it, so hopefully you all enjoy seeing it. So let me get started. the sides tacked, but the inside here, so I had to clamp it and turn it up. Alright guys, we got some good tacks all the way around here. This side, cleaned them up a little bit so I can keep welding. This side, put a little bit fatter down here, in here and here. You got to do this to keep it where it's supposed to be, because as I weld here, it can cause it to bend if you're not secure on each end. Alright guys, I finally got the swing arm welded in. This part right here, I had to grind it down some to just keep the appearance. But we've got that piece fully welded in there in the middle. But we've got to get here. These pieces here that are going to hook it back to the bike are going to be about somewhere in here, that vicinity right there. And so I'm going to have to put these on the rear end of the bike with hardware and get a mark right where these need to go on here, and then try to get this thing level and get them welded the way they need to be. So got everything laid out here, some clamps, my wrenches for the hardware. Do a little bit of configuring here. I had to show these shocks early too. It'll probably be the next video. We're going to have to come out, make something on them to come out, to come down and meet here on this swing arm. But I think I've got everything here. I'm going to set the camera up. You can see I have this fitted on here, right top, right, my arrow pointing up, but I have made a circular mark on this side of this one and the same on the other. Now I'm not going to tack it here because the purpose of doing it this way was to get a mark, get this swing arm back off over to the welder and get them welded on. As far as top and bottom, I'll get that centered on the welding table where these go up and down, but we have a mark on this side and a mark on this to see the width, which is a little bit wider than it should be. I put a rubber washer here and here to get me right. This is my center mark, so should be in pretty good shape to get these welded on. It's okay to have a little more. I can always put another washer in here, but we don't want it welded on, you know, too close together, or it's just not going to fit on the bike. So let me get set up on the welding table and we'll get these dudes going. Alright guys, I got these pieces tacked on. Had to keep eyeballing it. I've got a strong tack and 3 points, so I can start welding these up. Anytime you have a little gap there, I don't know if you noticed, you just cut a little welding rod and put it over it and use that to help you weld it. But the weld is not going to be the only thing holding these on. We'll get to that next after I get these welded in. Alright guys, I finally got these 2 pieces welded on. They tried to turn on me no matter how many times I had it tacked or worked with it. I got 3 welds around there. It's about the hardest welding I've done on this project so far to make sure these stayed straight, and they weren't the prettiest. It happens sometimes, but they're strong. Here's my hardware. Goes right back in the middle, just like that. So they're going to be good. If you notice, I still have these rubber bushings, rubber on the outside of the bushings that go in here. I am going to replace those. I could have even took them out before I started welding because they got hot and started smoking, and it stunk. But I had to have them because I had to keep putting this rod back in that the swing arm's going to pivot on, to make sure I'll stay in a line. But I will be knocking those out and putting new ones in. We'll get that on video. So I got these cleaned up pretty good. I plan to make some sort of support on the top and the bottom that goes all the way across here, just to give it a little more than these welds holding these this pivot point on the bike with the rod. And we're going to go across the bottom, across the top, and then I'm actually going to bridge it out to the top on these pieces here and give them a little more support. It'll strengthen up this middle, and then we're going to be able to put this dude on the bike. Okay, I got these marked. I'm going to leave some here and here. Go over this. We're going to have to bend it. Go over here for more support. And the same on the other end. We'll get back over here, get my grinding wheel off and my cutoff wheel back on, and we'll get this metal ready. Alright guys, started to get these cuts. I'm going to get this off of here, get this thing bent the way it needs to be. Just to give you an idea here, what's going on. This is the angle you just saw me cutting. So you see my check mark there, my check mark there. Those are the ones that need to be bent up to be flat with the rest of this bar. These that's still down here, here, and here, we're going to cut off. Bent up, bent up, bent up. It's going to be one big fat piece with these 4 teeth on it to go where they need to go on that swing arm. So this is how I bend it. I don't have any special tools, guys. I just make stuff happen. So I'm gonna get this done right quick. Alright guys, if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you can see I put in a lot of supports, a lot of welds. It takes a lot of time, but it's going to be worth it. You don't want any stress fractures, especially after sanding this bike down and painting it and making it look good. And then here we're set up, maybe sorta. The piece runs all the way across here. I have the clamps on it, okay? You can see it a little bit from the side there. And I had those two bent down to go over the holes on the ends. This one here to go out to this fitting here that holds the hardware, which holds the swing arm to the bike. So that's kind of sort of what I was doing. I know it's hard to tell, but what I'm about to do now is start tacking this guy in, and this is support all the way across because we did add a piece in the middle, and then more support after our welds out to these ends where the rod hardware pushes through. It's hard to get it in there. So I'm going to get set up now, put some tacks on here, and this is going to be a little bit of work too. Got the swing arm up here in better light, laying on my vise, kind of show you what we had going on. But we ran this piece of angle iron all the way down, okay? Then I left a piece, folded it down, you can't really see in there, but this is where we had cut these off first, so there's a hole that needed to be covered. We'll have to weld around it here, across here, and then here we'll come and weld around here. I had to slice these a little to bend them. You can manipulate steel if you cut into it just so and bend it, and the weld will come up under here around the top, so all this support is grabbing these two, which hold the swing arm of the bike. I've got quite a gap to fill here. We'll go all the way around this one too, here and here, and around that side there. Okay, and I've got good tacks on here to hold me in place, hopefully. Yeah, we're gonna get our bead under there too. A lot more welding to do, and I will get back on it tomorrow. You guys won't see a gap at all. Wrap it up tomorrow, get this thing back on the bike. Should be enough footage for another video. Got this top part welded in. You can see here I got some new lights on my ceiling. The garage door is closed, it's all good, but when I weld I gotta open it, and it blocks this last light here and makes it a little more difficult to see sometimes when I'm recording. But yeah, so I got this side across and down for this flat piece on the top, across here, same on this side, down and around. These were the parts I bent down to cover the holes from this pipe cut off right here, okay? And then the metal went out over these pieces and got it welded in good. So it's looking good, a lot more touch up, but I've still got to flip it over and do this part in here that you see tacked on the bottom, this side here, here, and then when you turn it this way, let's go right here. You can see I need to come in and weld across here. And this, here we have it, a complete swing arm. So I got this iron piece we put on, I got it fully welded in on the top and the bottom. It branched out to these, and they're welded on too. The hardware goes back through. Now I got a little more gap than I wanted here, but it's no big deal. I'll center it up and get some spacers to put in there actually instead of washers. And now I've still got to knock these bushings out in each one and put the new ones in. I may not do that on camera just like the plates you see I put in the bottom here, right there and there, they're just tacked right now. I think I did a YouTube short on that one. So I'm also adding more support. There's one here and another one, but we're going to make this thing a tank. It's going to ride on bumpy trails, roots, rocks. Want to make sure nothing falls back apart on it. But here we have it. I think this is a good place to stop for this video. And please like, subscribe, and share. Hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.